Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm your friendly neighborhood Holy Bible explainer. Leviticus 19. Various laws. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the entire assembly of Israel and say to them, 'Be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy. Each of you must respect your mother and father, and you must observe my Sabbaths.'" It's called Shabbat. "I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make metal gods for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. When you sacrifice a fellowship offering to the Lord, sacrifice it in such a way that it will be accepted on your behalf. It shall be eaten on the day you sacrifice it, or on the next day. Anything left over until the third day must be burned up. If any of it is eaten on the third day, it is impure and will not be accepted. Whoever eats it will be held responsible. Any of the food on the impure food, because they have desecrated what is holy to the Lord, they must be cut off from their people. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time, or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am the Lord your God. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not deceive one another. Do not swear falsely by my name, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord." So we see there's two ways so far to profane the name of the Lord: sacrificing your children in the fire, or swearing falsely by the Lord's name. Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not hold back the wages of a hired worker overnight. Do not curse the deaf. That's kind of strange. Deaf guy wouldn't even hear it. Or put a stumbling block in front of the blind. But fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. Do not go about spreading slander among your people. Do not do anything that endangers your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. Do not hate a fellow Israelite in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in their guilt. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. Let's remember that one. I am the Lord. That's 18. Leviticus 19:18. Keep my decrees. Do not mate different kinds of animals. Do not plant your field with two kinds of seed. Do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. If a man sleeps with a female slave who is promised to another man, but who has not been ransomed or given her freedom, there must be due punishment. Yet they are not to be put to death. because she has not been freed. The man, however, must bring a ram to the entrance to the tent of meeting for a guilt offering to the Lord. With the ram of the guilt offering, the priest is to make atonement for him before the Lord for the sin he has committed, and his sin will be forgiven. When you enter the land, this is way in the future, and plant any kind of fruit tree, regard its fruit as forbidden. There is a note here. It says, uncircumcised. The fruit has not yet been circumcised, like Abraham told everyone to get circumcised. So forbidden is uncircumcised. So if there's forbidden knowledge, that knowledge is uncircumcised. For 3 years you are to consider it forbidden. It must not be eaten. In the 4th year, all its fruit will be holy, an offering of praise to the Lord. But in the 5th year, in the 5th year, you may eat its fruit. In this way, your harvest will be increased. I am the Lord your God. Do not eat any meat with the blood still in it. Do not practice divination or seek omens. Do not cut the hair at the sides of your head or clip off the edges of your beard. Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourself. I am the Lord. Do not degrade your daughter by making her a prostitute, or the land will turn to prostitution and be filled with wickedness. Observe my Sabbaths and have reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Stand up in the presence of the aged. Show respect for the elderly and revere your God. I am the Lord. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Oh, we have to remember this one too. Leviticus 19:33, 18 and 33. So you have to love your neighbor as yourself. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge, and try to like the foreigners. Do not use dishonest standards when measuring length, weight, or quantity. Use honest scales and honest weights, and honest ephah. So, when you're lifting weights, and you can only curl something like 25 pounds, don't say you can curl 45, because it's not honest. An honest ephah and an honest hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt. But here in verse 35, not only should you, when you're selling things, you don't want to shortchange the person. Let's say they're buying 2 pounds of grapes. You don't want to say it's 3 pounds when it's 2 pounds and then get more money. But what I'm perceiving is when you create a unit of measurement, right? Because we're talking about they're starting a new country. This is the early beginnings of this long time. There was a country called Israel a long time ago. The one that we see today started only in 1945 to 1949. So a long time ago, they were going to start this. Not the same one as the one today. Country Israel. So I think when you create this unit of measurement, it should be like a good weight, Like when people buy it, usually you buy like a couple pounds of something, When you get that couple pounds of something, you shouldn't have to pay too much for it. Okay, now verse 37. 36. Use honest scales and honest weights, an honest ephah and an honest hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt. Keep all my decrees. This is verse 37. And all my laws, and follow them. I am the Lord. Let's go to Leviticus 20. Punishments for sin. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, any Israelite or any foreigner residing in Israel who sacrifices any of his children to Molech is to be put to death. The members of the community are to stone him. I myself will set my face against him and will cut him off from his people. For by sacrificing his children to Molech, he has defiled my sanctuary and profaned my holy name. If the members of the community close their eyes when that man sacrifices one of his children to Molech, and if they fail to put him to death, I myself will set my face against him and his family and will cut them off from their people, together with all who follow him in prostituting themselves to Molech. I will set my face against anyone who turns to mediums and spiritists to prostitute themselves by following them, and I will cut them off from their people. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and follow them. I am the Lord who makes you holy. Anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death because they have cursed their father or mother. Their blood will be on their own head. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. If a man has sexual relations, sex with his father's wife, he has dishonored his father. Both the man and the woman are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man has sexual relations, sex with his daughter-in-law, both of them are to be put to death. What they have done is a perversion. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man has sex with a man, as one does with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own head. If a man marries both a woman and her mother, it is wicked. Both he and they must be burned in the fire, so that no wickedness will be among you. If a man has sex with an animal, he is to be put to death, and you must kill the animal. If a woman approaches an animal to have sex with it, kill both the woman and the animal. They are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If If a man marries his sister, the daughter of either his father or his mother, and they have sex, it is a disgrace. They are to be publicly removed from their people. He has dishonored his sister and will be held responsible. If a man has sex with a woman during her period, he has exposed the source of her flow, and she has also uncovered it. Both of them are to be cut off from their people. Do not have sex with the sister of either your mother or your father, for that would dishonor a close relative. Both of you would be held responsible. If a man has sex with his aunt, he has dishonored his uncle. They will be held responsible. They will die childless. If a man marries his brother's wife, it is an act of impurity. He has dishonored his brother. They will be childless. Keep all my decrees and laws and follow them, so that the land where I am bringing you to live may not vomit you out. Pardon me. You must not live according to the customs of the nations I am going to drive out before you. Because they did all these things, I abhorred them. But I say to you, you will possess their land. I will give it to you as an inheritance, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, who has set you apart from the nations. So, let's think about this. Remember, this is a long time ago. There's like two Israels. The one a long time ago, think of this guy named David, right? He was the best king of that Israel. Now there's modern day Israel. Now, when you're talking about the nations a long time ago, there are these guys that the angel of God will start to drive out of the land, and then the descendants of Jacob, Moses is a descendant of Jacob, and they're going to possess the land. This is the old Israel. Just remember, there's like two Israels. Now, regarding the modern day Israel, when you hear nations, it's something called Goyim, which is everyone else except Jews. So remember, there's two Israels. The ancient one, when you hear nations, there were these people that were being driven out so that the descendants of Jacob could possess the land, and then they would have all the promises that God promised to Abraham. From you will come kings, right? King David, King Solomon, all the way to King Josiah, and then King Jesus. Because even Jesus, they call him like the root of David, which sounds strange. Like he is a descendant of David, but as the root, he's older than David. Because remember, when they asked Jesus, he said, "Before Abraham, I was." And one more time, right now, because it's now, the year 2023, when you hear nations, it's Goyim. See, Israel, they're Jews, and then Goyim is everyone else except Jews. Okay, we are at verse 25. You must therefore make a distinction between clean and unclean animals. We covered that. And between unclean and clean birds. Do not defile yourselves by any animal or bird or anything that moves along the ground, those that I have set apart as unclean for you. You are to be holy to me, because I, the Lord, am holy, and I have set you apart from the nations. Remember, the people that you're going to drive out. To be my own. A man or woman who is a medium or spiritist among you must be put to death. You are to stone them. Their blood will be on their own heads. Thank you for listening. That was a lot to cover. I salute you for hanging in there. So remember, keep God first. He'll take you places.